Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to get together with you today. We actually get together most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central. However, I will let you know we won't have a Zoom training tomorrow. We're going to be doing a community clinic in person tomorrow morning. So most mornings we get together at this time to go through the startup business funding package. And it's easy to quickly come to the assumption, well, why do I want to hear about this? Why is this relevant? Why is it worth my time? Well, I think if you understand the backstory, you'll realize it is very important. So we applied for and received a grant to put together this package. This package is very important to understand, even if you don't want to participate as an entrepreneur, even if you don't want to be a distribution partner, because this is a checklist of what it takes for any business to be fundable, to be credible on paper. You're going to run into, and you probably already do, you run into so many people that have businesses or they have business ideas. They want money, they need money, sometimes desperately, but they're overlooking the fundamental basis of getting approved. Is their business credible? Is their business fundable? And so we're going to go through this conversation with you this morning and with the small church group. I think we have 32 individuals registered for tomorrow's community clinic. And if you're interested, we'd encourage you to go out and teach in your community as well. But what we're going to go through is not a sales pitch at all. We're going to go through a checklist of what does it take to get qualified for $250,000 or more of funding. No strings attached, no hidden agendas. We're going to go through exactly the formula to have a fundable business. Now, also, now I'm navigating from chapmanloanprogram.org. Also on chapmanloanprogram.org are some resources. So just in case you have to leave early, let me show you where these are, and then we'll get back to the topic. There are 4 resources that they had us, because again, when we applied for the grant, it meant a couple things. It meant we needed to do routine financial literacy education, like we're doing in the mornings, like now. It meant we also needed to provide some resources. So one of which is a link to participate in the Startup Business Funding Package, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. And it may be that you don't need this. I was talking to a small business owner this morning, and he doesn't need this. He's overqualified. So this is not trying to corral people into participating in something that they don't need. By the time we finish our few-minute conversation, you'll quickly understand if your business or if you're a referral partner, the prospect's business is fundable. And if they are, we skip this step, by the way. If they're not, they can, of course, participate. If they are already credible, like the gentleman I talked to this morning, his first name is Milton, Milton. Milton's already ready to go to funding. So we've actually started the process. It was before 8 o'clock Central, and we've already started his financing process. And that's the second bullet here. That's where participants or non-participants can get financing offers. There's no hard inquiries. There's no impact to their credit. There's no nonsense. There's no upfront cost. So that's the second resource. The third is also a required resource that we were required to provide for the grant, and it has additional training, but also funding success stories, and then any of you that might like to get paid to help others access the grant. Again, it's not get rich quick. It's nothing crazy. You make a little more than $1,000 each time you help us educate a small business. But take tomorrow, for example. You do a community clinic, and let's just say 10 people show up. Should be bigger. Normally, the average is 20 to 25. But if you have 10 people show up, typically about 80% will enroll. So if the grant is paying you $1,000 a pop and you had 8 people enroll, I mean, $8,000 for doing a 1-hour workshop is not bad when you're out helping people. But regardless, if you wanted to become a distribution partner, that is the bottom resource. So let's get back up and make sure that we're clear on why we're having this conversation, why it's relevant. whether it be your business or someone else's, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter what industry they're in. So often we'll get calls and people will say, well, will this work for me doing this? Or will this work for me doing that? The industry doesn't matter. What we're talking about is a universal truth. It's not about your opinion. Frankly, it's not about my opinion. It's about what the lenders need to determine that a business is credible. So let's go through that checklist now. Because if you know this checklist, then getting funding is easy. If you don't know this checklist and you don't meet the checklist, getting business funding is hard, maybe somewhere between improbable to impossible. And when you do get it, it's going to be crazy expensive. So we don't want any of that. So the first thing that we need to know if we want a fundable business, and again, this is not an opinion discussion. It doesn't matter if you agree with this or if I agree with it. These are the facts. So the first thing that a lender is going to look for is, do we have a credible, unique business address? Now, this doesn't mean that you can't work from your pajamas in the back bedroom at home. No one cares where you work from. This is not about that. This is about what is the official address of the business. We need a good address, and a good address is a unique business address. As we often talk on these morning Zooms, it's more than just having the address. So I'm going to navigate over to our sister website, which is Cheap Business Address. I don't want to distract you, but essentially, if you take the top bullet and the bottom bullet, just those two, that's what is provided through Cheap Business Address. But that's not my point so much as I just want to go down here to where it does a nice job of describing. In many cases, a lender is not going to just want to know your address. They're going to want to have validation of that address. And that usually is documentation of the lease. Now you might say, why would they care so much about this damn address? Why does it matter so much? Well, why questions are some of the best questions. Here's the real reason why. Is that when you get a business loan, a larger business loan, whether it be $250,000 or $2.5 million, whatever it is, if it's a larger business loan, typically the lender is going to do things to protect their interests in case the borrower doesn't repay. That kind of makes sense, right? Well, when it's a working capital loan, it's not as if they can come repossess a piece of equipment or a piece of real estate. It was money transferred to the borrower. So what does a lender typically do? A lender typically is going to place a lien on the business. Now, if you're not familiar with that, it's not a negative thing. It's just like when you buy a house, right? There's a lien against the house until you pay it off. That doesn't mean that it's not your house, doesn't mean you can't enjoy it, doesn't mean you can't sell it, just means that there's a debt against it, and there is someone that has a documented interest, so it is more certain to be repaid. So as we're on this first bullet, it's not just about having a business address, it's having a business address and having the documentation, a real lease. And that's one of the things that we provide. And I can show you what a real lease looks like, for example. So if you click on, so I'm on Cheap Business Address, I clicked here just to show you. So this is just a cover page, but we actually get into an office lease agreement. And here we have a real lease that's provided to each participant. It's 25 pages long because it's a real lease. So in most cases, not at all, but in most cases, the lender is going to ask for a copy of the lease. And so you need to have that. If you don't have that, you probably will not get approved for a large loan. In addition to the main part of the lease, they're going to almost always ask for a landlord's lien waiver. So you have to make sure that your landlord is willing to sign this, because what that's doing is it's giving the lender, who's yet to be identified, the lender priority over the landlord of any assets that are in the office. So I don't want to go too deep into the weeds, but if you're not familiar with how important not only a business address is, but having a real lease to include in your loan package, then you're mistaken. That's very important. It's crucial. And that's where we start. And through the grant, that is provided for free. So there's step one of having a credible, fundable business. Now, at any time, if you have any questions, go ahead and type it into the Q&A. It's like a chat box of Zoom, and we'll go into it. So is everybody on board with me there? We understand that lenders want the business to have a true business address. We understand why it's important, and we understand the documentation that they're going to look for. Correct? Are we all on the same page there? Great. Now, again, if you're looking for a personal loan, we don't need to go through all these things, but businesses have much larger borrowing capacity than do individuals. So if our goal is to get money to start or grow a small business, this is the checklist we need to comply with, as a matter of fact. Okay, the second thing is we need to be in good standing with the Secretary of State. So through the grant, through the Startup Business Funding Package, we provide that for free, just like the address was free, by the way. So a free filing with the Secretary of State, then we turn around and file with the IRS to get the EIN, and we're able to open the business bank account. So now we have the footing, if you will, of a credible business. Oh, great. Can we go to funding now? We wouldn't have much borrowing capacity if we went now. We still need to strengthen the business, but we do at least have a credible business to strengthen. Now, so often on these morning Zooms, we'll get questions from people saying, well, I already have this. That's great. This is the checklist. And if you have all of these items, then you do not need the Startup Business Funding Package. That's fine. That's great. We'd love to then work with you and go right to funding. That's the second bullet here. Now, some of you might find you're kind of halfway there. You're going to say, well, I have some of these things, but not the others. Well, then you need to make a decision, or we can consult with you. But a decision has to be made to either bring your current business up to compliance with these measures, or you could leave your current business alone. Doesn't mean anything has to change with it, but we could go ahead and just start a new one for the capital raise. And then even if you wanted to transfer the money from the new to the old, you could do so. All right, so we've covered 3 free resources so far, and what's not listed here is opening the business bank account. So now we have the foundation laid. Is that enough? No. So now we're going to roll up our sleeves and get this business credible, get this business fundable. But if we don't have these items, then the rest doesn't matter so much. So that's why this order is very important. Okay, so next we need to add trade lines. We're going to add primary trade lines under the EIN, under the business. Almost always someone will ask, well, what's an example of a trade line? Well, a trade line is an extension of credit that's reflected on the business credit profile. So there's 3 main business credit bureaus, right? Dun & Bradstreet, Experian Business, Equifax Business. So we need the world to see that our business is credible, that we've had extensions of credit and we paid as agreed. But we'll take care of that, right? And how much does it cost? It's free, right? We're going through this free. So we can add different types of primary trade lines under the business, so the business has a strong PAYDEX score with Dun & Bradstreet and a strong IntelliScore with Experian Business. Most importantly, we want at least an 80 score on both of those. So again, if you're tracking at home, you say, well, I already have all this. Great. So if you have a business with a good address, you have a lease ready that we can include in the loan package, you're in good standing with the Secretary of State, we got your EIN, we got your business bank account already opened, and you have a strong business credit profile, that is beautiful. So again, there's only one more box we got to check, and if you have all those boxes checked, you do not need this resource. You're going to come right down here, and we're going to go to funding today. Yeah, offers today, I should say. All right, so now the last credibility factor, which is very important, is does the business show on its balance sheet that it has collateral? So problem number 1 is a lot of business owners don't even know what a balance sheet is. And so what you and I need to do from an educational perspective is certainly we want to build financial literacy, help them understand what a balance sheet is, that it shows the assets and liabilities of the business, not of the business owner, and that it describes, depicts, it lists what's the collateral that can be pledged. So often small business owners are kind of in this tunnel vision, and they're thinking about what I want. But we really need to step back and say, well, what does the lender want, right? The lender wants a credible, fundable business, and they want some assurance that if they don't get repaid, that there's something to mitigate their risk. And that's what we call collateral. A lot of small businesses have what's called a collateral shortfall. They don't have enough collateral, but that's okay. We transfer assets over to the balance sheet so the business has collateral. That's part of the grant funded program. So once we have done these items, now we have a credible and a fundable business. We are ready to go to funding. Now we can pursue many different types of funding. So a lot of times people will start pinging me with specific questions. We're at a great point when we have these 5 bullets met. We can go lots of different places and get lots of loans. People will say, well, would it be an SBA loan? Well, maybe if that's what you want, sure. I mean, this would meet the SBA criteria. I don't want an SBA loan. Well, fine. We don't have to go with SBA. I want a line of credit. Fine. You're going to qualify for a line of credit. So you can see that this isn't about, oh, we built it for a specific type of funding. This is built for any type of business funding. Make sense? However, within the startup grant, one of the nice elements is geographic access to the Chapman Fund. So let me describe that, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. The Chapman Fund came from a grant, and it's designed to provide funding to start and grow small businesses. It is from a taxing authority, so we don't have to go to a bank and qualify for a bank loan or a credit union or even an alternative lender. So it's very attractive. However, nothing in life is perfect, or few things in life is perfect. There's pros and cons, as I should say. It has a cap of $250,000. So we could use this as the first tranche and then go after more funding afterwards for bigger amounts if needed, if desired. But the Chapman Fund itself does a minimum of 30 and a maximum of 250. So you do need to be aware of that. So hopefully what you glean from our discussion is 2 things. Number one, here's a checklist that maybe no one has ever sat down with you before and said, what does it take to have a credible and a fundable business? This is it. This is it right here. And then the second hopeful takeaway that you have from today's discussion is that if you or someone that you know wants funding and they don't meet this criteria, then we're ready and able to assist them. It takes about a 30 to 60 day process to knock this out. Well, what if they need funding right away? That's fine. Again, we can access funding immediately. We can get them financing offers as they are now, and then we can go build out the business, and then we'll qualify for obviously a lot more of bigger amounts after we have a fundable business. So this is an important link to be aware of. So the bottom line is we can help any business get positioned for funding. There's no risk to the participant. There's a 2-step process. When I'm on the phone with people, I'll ask them, do you see on the website, chapmanloanprogram.org, the 2-step process? And until they see this, I usually won't continue, because this tells them what they need to do. There's 2 steps. It's why it's like it's yelling at you. It's like it's mad at you. It's in all capital letters. 2-step process. Step 1, view the training. Where is the training? It's right here. Step 2, click here to enroll. And again, this is the same link as here, by the way. So that's where we're at. So I'm going to stop talking and start listening. We're going to turn it over to each of you to address questions, comments, concerns. Looks like Sadrudin has the first question. And so that's right. So You could do, Sedgwick and others, you could do the cheap business address if you only wanted the first and last bullets, then you come right over here and you can participate in the cheap business address. It provides, like it says here, the address, the documentation, Chapman Geographic Access. So it's the first bullet and the last bullet. But if we don't have the other elements, those are still needed, and those are available. All 6 bullets are available through the startup program. All right, so Samantha says she is really unclear about the Secretary of State filing. She is always paid for her filing. Well, that's the beauty. The grant pays for it. So you do not need to pay for it, Samantha. The grant pays for it. It is free. So she asked, what does she need to do? You're going to come down here, and there's a 2-step process, Samantha. You're going to watch the video, and frankly, we've kind of covered the same information that's in the video, but regardless, that's what the instructions say. Watch the video, and then enroll, and then we'll work with you, and we'll go through these steps, this process. Thank you, Samantha, for your question. All right, who else has questions, comments, concerns? Because this is a big deal. You literally have the power to go out and help any small business owner access a minimum of $250, but could be a lot more. So you have the knowledge and the resources that can change people's lives. If you'd like to be a distribution partner, get paid to spread the word, go out and teach community clinics like I'm doing one tomorrow morning. That's why, for those of you that came on late, no Zoom tomorrow. We're going to be doing a live community clinic in the morning, a breakfast session. But if you want to be involved and help others and get paid, then again, that's resource number 4. Crazy easy to do. It's not challenging. It's right there. Who has questions about what we do, how we do it, how the benefits, what the benefits are? All right, Ken's asking about compensation. So specifically, Ken, if you decided to become a distribution partner, which that's not the goal of today's discussion, but we just want to make it aware, because obviously if you Ken and you Andrew and you Andre and you Bernard and you Charles and you Cornell, all of you that are on here, if you go out and help spread the word, we're going to be able to help more small businesses, and that's what we're expected to do. And we've got a great resource to help them. You're making a little more than $1,000 each time you educate a small business. And if you wanted, you could even invite them to our morning Zooms and we could explain it. And then you could just help them get enrolled if you wanted. But regardless, $1,000 per referral is not get rich quick. It's not like winning the lottery. But, for the average person, it's not bad, right? Our typical distribution partner refers in 1 client a day, 30 a month, right? So you're looking at plus or minus 30,000 for side income. I realize that's not going to replace your full-time income, and it's not really intended to, but it's a great way to get paid to help people. So who has questions on the process, on the offering? All right, Charles is asking about the agreement, so let's go ahead and click on it. So when you go to step 2, click here. It'll bring up the agreement, and it's real simple. You initial off, and we're able to get started. What will happen is we'll send over an onboarding email pretty quickly. We'll get started with this process, right? What's the first thing that we need to do, Charles? We need to get the address established. What's the second thing we need to do? We need to get filed with the Secretary of State. What's the third thing we need to do? Get the EIN, then we get the bank account open. Then what do we need to do? We need to build out the business credit. We need to build out the balance sheet and get those assets that we provide for free. So you see, that's the beauty of it. It's simple. People want free, simple, and fast. That's what everyone tells me. Free, simple, and fast. Make it free, simple, and fast. Well, this is as close as we can get. Who else has any questions, comments, concerns? The key is go back to either the referral partner that invited you today, or you can go to chapmanloanprogram.org. And this has the resource, it has the training, It has the two-step process. If you're ready to just go to funding now, we can skip all of this. If you've got a fundable business, fine. Or let's say you don't have a fundable business, but you still need some money now, fine. You can skip this or enroll in this, plus we can go ahead and get you financing offers. No strings attached, no risk to you. Anyone have questions, comments, concerns? Andrew's asking about these community clinics. So yeah, we've encouraged all of you who are distribution partners. We have a really nice PowerPoint deck, and you could work with churches, chambers, community events, and go out and just offer to do a free 1-hour workshop. And so that PowerPoint essentially addresses this. You kind of conclude with letting people know that this resource exists, but it's not a sales presentation. You could teach it live or online or live. I recommend live because you'll have the greatest conversion ratio. I've had apartment complexes that have invited us in, gave us the community room. They promoted it to their tenants, and they even provided pizza, if it's dinner. But yes, if you want to go out and teach community clinics like we're doing tomorrow morning, that's great. Essentially, get set up as a distribution partner, and we'll help you and we'll support you. All right, who else has any questions? Because this should be pretty straightforward. We get together most weekday mornings to go through how this works and to support each of you. We will not do it tomorrow because we'll actually be in the field doing a community clinic, but we'll be back on Wednesday morning. Thursday morning. Sorry, we're out Wednesday, back Thursday. Any questions, comments, concerns before we hang it up today? All right, well, let us know how we can assist. Look forward to working with you. Have a great day. Bye.